The thing is, I think they try to please us, and I think they try to please someone else, and they try to please someone else. They try to please everybody. You just can't do that. If you're going to do something about drug abuse in Lee Park, then you shouldn't close Lee Park and get all the drug abusers out of Lee Park, for instance. That's trying to please too many people, and that's what governments tend to do. Rather than solve problems, they try to please everybody into thinking the problems are solved. And I think that's what Dyson is doing with reorganizing his department. Is trying to make it appear that he's doing something to solve problems, which he's not.
What changes do you plan to make?
Well, there are innumerable changes that I will. Now, the office itself of Speaker will be run differently in this regard. First of all, I'm a lawyer from Palestine, Texas, and that's where my home is and where I'm going to be living. I'm not going to live full-time here in the Capitol building and make it a full-time job. I'll give what time is necessary to carry on the function of the office. Now, also in the office of Speaker, of course, is the people that he puts in positions of responsibility. And there will be a radical change there from the old guard leadership that we've had here in the past, where we're going to newer and fresher ideas and people with newer and fresher ideas.
The charge is hurled, of course, that the primary reasons lawyers don't like it is because you don't need lawyers under a no-fault system. To what degree is that true?
Well, I think that may be too blanket a statement of it. I think certainly some lawyers would disapprove of it because it would reduce the role that an attorney would play. I don't think it's going to do away with lawyers altogether because like any other insurance policy, when you have a claim under the terms of the policy, a lot of times the insurance company doesn't agree with you about what the amount of the claim ought to be. And then you've got to go get a lawyer to file suit to recover what you think's due you under that policy. And I think lawyers will still be involved in it to that extent. The insurance companies and the injured people are not going to always been in agreement on it, but it will cut down the role that lawyers play, and I'm sure that that's part of the basis for the lawyers' disapproval of it.
I think more than anything, it's the experience, just facing the pitchers, and learning what they throw in certain situations. That's got to help, somewhat, I hope.
How did last year go for you during the time that you were up in Washington?
Not too bad, considering I was platooned quite a bit, and I missed quite a bit of the time due to the military service. You know, I was gone for 3 weeks in one part of the season, and that hurts quite a bit because you're continually trying to get yourself back into shape, and you know, once you get your rhythm and your timing, you like to stay that way, and when you have to go away for the reserves for 3 or 4 days, why, it makes a difference. And but overall, I'd say I had pretty good success.
Is that military commitment something that you'll have for a while?
Yeah, for 2 more years, but I'm hoping to transfer to Dallas, providing I make the team this year, and maybe I can, you know, eliminate that traveling back and forth to Iowa every month.
Oh, that had to be tough.
Yeah, it gets a little overbearing once in a while.
Larry, on the whole, this is such a young club. It's really an unknown quantity, I guess. You really can't assess what you'll do this year.
Oh, well, that's true. We just gotta, you know, play the game and hope for the best, you know, because we're all mainly inexperienced. There's a few positions that guys have had a little bit of experience, but I think we have a lot of ability in this club, and I think maybe in 2 or 3 years, I think you know, we can bring a winner to Dallas, I hope.
Most of the military personnel who are here at Fort Wolters have served at least one combat tour in Southeast Asia. And I think we're indeed fortunate that we've been able to come back to our country, our families, and our friends. There are many who are still left who have not been so fortunate. And we want to dedicate this week and our thoughts and our prayers to those personnel and wish them a timely release and hope that they can get back to their families and the United States at an early date.
There are no losers, as Mr. Acker has pointed out in the news release, in this competition. The least any band will receive is $4,000, and this is essentially a net figure because there are no expenses to the institution involved in getting here or in the housing and feeding or transportation while they're here. It's we bring them here and they compete, and $10,000 and $7,000 and $4,000 figures for music departments just don't come along every day.
Lace and ribbon and bows. That's what Easter baskets are usually made of. But in this case, what you see isn't exactly what you get. The baskets beneath these frills are actually empty Purex bottles, egg cartons, and even plastic beer can holders. Just scraps of garbage that these senior citizens are turning into Easter baskets for poverty children.
We're making them out of Purex boxes and lace that we have gone out into the different ones have give us just anywhere we can pick up and find them, and egg cartons that they pick up out of trash cans and different things that just any place we can find them.
It's 5 more days until the Easter rabbit hides his eggs, but Mrs. Johnson delivered the baskets today inside the North Dallas housing project.
We feel like that if we do this for these children that doesn't have mothers that doesn't have any money to buy their children's baskets, I think that this would help them to live a little bit longer and make the children happy. So this is why we're trying to do this and put our time in, and yet it does something for us. For it makes us feel like when we rise in the morning that we have done something great for humanity.
Well, I was bringing a friend from work, which I work here in the packing house, and as we drove up to his house, we saw this squad car speeding. So we drove up to the intersection. As we saw the squad car speeding away, we saw an officer running, like chasing somebody. We couldn't see what he was chasing. As we got to the intersection, we saw this police officer in the curb, bleed on the curb. So as I came up, I gave assistance to the officer to put him in the squad car so they could take him to the hospital.
We'll come back in the next regular session with, I don't know, 25 Republicans. They will be solidly united, and certainly on the substantive issues of the day, that's probably going to be the determining factor. I personally believe that Texas has got to be a two-party state, but when I made my acceptance speech as National Committee man, I told the members of the State Executive Committee, I've told all of the members of this caucus, that if we're going to be effective, we're going to have to be Texans first and Republicans second. Certainly in the matter of taxation, that caucus will be adamantly opposed to a state income tax beyond any question. That's one. The caucus will exert all of its influence in making sure that we do have the reform of the rules of the House that are required to bring good government. We have Speaker Price's assurance that he will himself institute these changes, but the bloc will be there solidly to try to be sure that that does happen.
I'm disappointed with almost everything Chief Dyson has done in regard to Oak Lawn area and Lee Park and drug abuse. In fact, almost everything that I can think of offhand that the city government has done about Lee Park, Oak Lawn community and drug abuse, I'm very disappointed with.
Why are you disappointed?
Because it's of no effect in solving the problems we have here, the things they do. In fact, a great many times have made the problem worse through their politicking.
The governor took a swipe at the 62nd legislature in his speech to the joint session this morning. That session held in the House chambers was delayed from yesterday, but when senators filed into the House chamber, they were brisk following Lieutenant Governor Ben Barnes and newly named Senate President Pro Tem Barbara Jordan. As Governor Smith skirted the floor of the House to take his place on the platform, he was unsmiling, possibly thinking of today's message. He began by pointedly reminding legislators that they had earlier had shots at both the Highway Beautification Act and primary election funding. He then talked about terms laid down by the Department of Transportation.
We have to make a firm commitment by passing an acceptable law to remove all billboards from interstate and federal aid primary highways to a distance of 660 feet. According to the Highway Department's estimate, there are about 65,500 boards involved, and the removal and the reimbursement cost will be approximately $69 million. We must agree to remove or effectively screen more than 1,200 junkyards. The cost is estimated at $13,200,000. That figures to a combined cost of $82,200,000. The impact will be diluted for three reasons. First, Texas will be reimbursed by $55,600,000 by the federal government. Second, the program will be extended over a period of several years. The effectiveness of the act will hinge upon the availability of federal funds. Third, an agreement will be worked out between the state and federal governments, providing for a system of fees for legal billboards, that is, those located on interstate or primary highways in an industrial or commercial zone as defined by the act and by the agreement.
Likewise, the governor said there has been a problem with funding the primary election, but he sounded optimistic today.
I, for one, am not willing to gamble with our people's right to vote. I urge you then to pass the legislation and the appropriation necessary to finance and to operate the 1972 party primaries in Texas.
What had earlier seemed like a longer session now seems within the possibility of over by Easter. Governor Smith again pointed out this morning his determination to keep this special session short. And significantly, new Speaker Rayford Price in the House told representatives today that only subjects in the governor's call would be considered. Phil Reynolds, Channel 8 News on the Move, in Austin.
At this time, I would like to ask Mayor Ellis H. White, the Mayor of Mineral Wells, to please step forward. I am presenting this banner on behalf of the Fort Wolters Officers Wives Club to Mayor White and the people of Mineral Wells in honor of the families in this area whose lives have been so deeply affected by the absence of those men who are prisoners of war or are missing in action. It is our wish that this banner be displayed in a public place where all will see it and be reminded of the plight of these men and their families.